Question: a diversified financial group operates insurance, asset management, and lending businesses. Each division reports strong performance and compliance with internal limits. However, the group experiences a sudden liquidity crisis following a market shock. Advise the group board, integrating diversification limits, correlation, liquidity risk, governance, and the actuarial control cycle. 25 marks. Section 1. Interpretation and key points. Quick awareness check. The diversification illusion, siloed success, is a red flag. If every division is winning, they might all be betting on the same thing. Liquidity versus solvency. You can be rich on paper, solvency, but broke in the bank, liquidity. Liquidity is about the timing of cash flows. The correlation spike. In a crisis, the walls between insurance, lending, and assets disappear as everything moves in one direction. Group-level governance compliance at the divisional level does not equal safety at the group level. Section 2. Logic breakdown. 1. The failure of diversification. The board likely assumed that because they operate in 3 different sectors, they were diversified. However, correlation is dynamic. During a market shock, these sectors are linked by common risk drivers, e.g., interest rates or credit spreads. 2. Liquidity risk, the silent killer. Unlike insurance risk, which takes years to develop, liquidity risk happens in hours. The group faced a double whammy. Insurance claims increased, margin calls hit the asset manager, and the lending arm faced credit drawdowns. Capital metrics, SCR, are often too slow to catch this. 3. Actuarial control cycle, specification and monitoring. The problem specification was too narrow. It focused on divisional limits rather than group aggregate limits. The monitoring phase failed because it didn't look for interdivisional contagion. 4. Governance and the 3 lines of defense. The group board failed in its governance role by allowing local optimization. Each division managed its own risk, but nobody managed the joint tail. The second line of defense, group risk, should have performed reverse stress testing. Section 3. High distinction model answer. The group's liquidity crisis demonstrates that divisional compliance is a poor proxy for group-level resilience. While each business unit operated within its internal limits, the board failed to account for the correlation of risks during a systemic market shock. Diversification is a conditional benefit. In a crisis, the structural boundaries between insurance, lending, and asset management often dissolve as they become exposed to common factors like interest rate volatility or a sudden flight to quality. This results in tail dependency, where losses across the group occur simultaneously, overwhelming the capital buffers of the individual entities. Liquidity risk is the primary driver of this failure, as it materializes with a speed that traditional capital-based metrics, such as the SCR, cannot capture. The group likely suffered from liquidity contagion. While the insurance arm faced rising catastrophe claims, the asset management division was hit by margin calls, and the lending arm experienced a surge in credit line drawdowns. From a capital management perspective, the group may have appeared solvent on an economic capital basis, but it was functionally cash poor. This highlights a significant model risk, where group-wide stress tests failed to aggregate the timing of cash outflows across disparate business lines. Applying the actuarial control cycle, the failure lies in the problem specification phase. The board permitted a siloed governance structure, where risk was measured locally rather than holistically. To develop a solution, the group must move beyond simple diversification limits and implement group-wide liquidity stress testing. This must include reverse stress testing to identify the exact combination of market events that would exhaust the group's liquid resources. Governance frameworks must be restructured to ensure the second line of defense has the authority to impose aggregate limits that override divisional targets. Ultimately, professional actuarial advice requires the board to recognize that long-term sustainability depends on system behavior under stress, not on the individual performance of its components. The group must re-establish its risk appetite to explicitly include liquidity buffers that are accessible across the group. Monitoring must now transition from backward-looking compliance reporting to forward-looking key risk indicators (KRIs) that track interconnectedness. By treating the group as a single complex ecosystem rather than a collection of independent units, the board can prevent future liquidity traps and ensure that diversification remains a source of strength rather than a source of false security.